in the intro, we're going to have a look at the NRL first this week because big first round.
Footy's back.
Footy's back. Crowds are back.
Crowds back.
Great football games to kick off. And I guess the big four probably showed their ability and how dangerous they could be this year. So we'll get into that. But
let me clarify, who are your big four? Melbourne, Roosters?
Oh, maybe five. Souths and Raiders.
South, Penrith Raiders?
Penrith in there as well, yeah.
So Melbourne, Souths, Penrith, Raiders and Roosters. They're the five.
Okay,
five.
so South's the only team out of that five to a loss. And against Melbourne, they've actually never won a game in Melbourne, which is crazy, like ever. So in the history of the Melbourne Storm, the Bunnies are now 0-17. They were 0-16 prior to the game. And another interesting little tidbit is Bellamy is 16-10 against Wayne Bennett. And he's never lost a round one game whilst he's at the Storm. 19-0, if you don't mind.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
He gets those boys
ridiculous.
prepared.
Yeah, like to have that kind of preparation and consistency in round one. You wouldn't want to bet against him. I think the bookies had him about $1.90 each in this game.
Wow.
It didn't look like it was a $1.90 split after the first 30 minutes. The Storm just got off to an absolute lightning start. Munster, Olam, Pappenhausen had two before 30 minutes.
He looks real good.
They're up 22-0.
Someone on the table has a cheeky futures bet on Pappenhausen to win the Dally M. I
won't reveal
who, but he's pretty happy with himself after Thursday night's performance.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much for more reports.
Especially
what was he paying for that for Dally M?
22s.
That's a shout.
Yeah,
I like that. He looks bigger. He looks like he's put on about 4 or 5 kilos of lean muscle mass in the off season, and definitely doesn't look a step slower. He was electrifying.
No. Yeah, and if he keeps up those numbers, like he'll definitely be in conversation. Plus the goal kicking, you just add it all in.
Yeah, that's right. No
He's going to score
Smith
points
this year, so he gets goal kicking duties. What do you have? 5 or 6, I think, goal kicking. We've got his stat line there. He had
5 or 6.
Had 2 tries, 174 run meters, 5 or 6 goal kicking. Yeah, he's looking like one of the premier fullbacks in the competition. There's a few guys called Latrell and Tedesco that also had pretty handy games. We'll get to that in just a second.
Run us through the Melbourne game.
Yeah, it was set. Well, the first half, it was just Melbourne got it done in the first half. South were horrendous. They had 10 errors. Benji actually came on in the 31st minute. He started to steer the ship a little bit, I thought. Not electrifying, but I think just having that old head.
So who did he come on for?
Well, that's a good question. I was having a look at it now. None of the backs came off. So I think that was kind of playing him as like a
lock.
A loose forward.
Yeah, well, a lot of clubs, like I think the Raiders are planning to do this as well with Starling. The hooker from last year that took off from Hodges. A lot of teams are going to go with like the 3 playmakers. So towards the end of the game, when fatigue, guys are tired, let's get an extra ball player on there, take off a big bopper, and then do that kind of movement game a bit more, which we saw a little bit with Queensland in the State of Origin. We're playing the 2 hookers. But it'd be interesting to see how clubs move, with the 6 interchanges now, the faster rules, where it goes to more that way in that last 20 minutes. There's a lot more playmakers out there trying to score points later.
Well, in this particular game, since Benji came on, I think Melbourne only scored another 4 points and South scored 18. So whether or not it was the impact of him being on there or just the rest of the team started pulling their finger out.
Well, you're right. He came on for Jaden Sewer, second
rower. Yeah. And I imagine Sewer would have come back on later in the game, or did Sewer just play the 30 minutes? Have you got that there?
Quick check.
Hard to say.
I think, with the ball moving quicker, you want to have ball players on there because that's how you saw that momentum. Storm had that game blown out because they just kept piling on and on and on. Then when Benji came on, like you said, it was all Rabbitohs for a period. Like it's foot on the throat. If you can get repeat sets, you're going to score points because they want the ball moving. They want the ball going quickly. So I think it's where the sort of league is heading. In the first couple of weeks, it's going to be people, coaches especially, feeling out what the best mix is. Is it having more ball players? Is it, having the big boppers go hard for the first 10, 20? then going back to the ball player and then into the back. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It's really
through
interesting to
first
see
month
how
of
the
season.
league's changed, say, in 4 to 5 years.
Yeah,
because that was that year.
massively.
There was that year that the Raiders, I'll use them as an example, had Boyd and Paulo as your forwards, and they were huge.
Yeah, both about 120,
Yeah, and then
125 kgs.
Papali's playing in the back row. They had a huge pack,
Yep.
and then they almost won the comp with off the back of this ginormous pack. And then within 4 years, they had to get rid of those blokes. They downsized. Papali's moved into the front row. They're a lot smaller. Well, I wouldn't say smaller. They're big guys, but they're that leaner build. Like they've got Ryan James there now. Tarpany is in the back line. They've got that tall, lean muscle build versus big boppers that we're used to. And whether that's kind of where the league is transitioning to is part of that.
I'm hoping this article's accurate. So 2015, I think, is when they went from 12 down to 8. Or no, they went 12, 10, 8, 6. It's been a gradual reduction. But yeah, it's changed the game immensely in the last sort of 5 or 6 years.
Well, we got to think about the rule changes as well. Like the game is getting
It's all
a lot
about
faster.
speed.
Yeah, everything's
That's what
speed,
it-
speed. Yeah.
People think speed equates to points, equates to viewers,
Well, exactly,
which
yeah.
equates to money.
Yeah. They've had a look at it and gone, well, the Storm for a decade with their wrestle have won a lot of the comps, being one of the premier teams. And it's like, it's not great viewership. The wrestle, they wanted to take that out. We want line breaks. We want, ball movement.
Quick play the balls, quick through the ruck.
Yeah, exactly. Getting the little guys a bit more involved to try and, one, eliminate some of the wrestle, but two, create a better spectacle.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
time will tell.
so far,
But it looks, last season was a pretty good season, I thought, overall. And I think this year's trending in the same way.
Yeah.
It was a great first game. I mean, we couldn't ask for a lot more. Both teams had a lot of the ball. Both teams scored points, and all the good players sort of shone, especially for the Storm side, which sort of proved what led to them being victorious, really.
Yeah, for sure. But credit to the South boys in that second half. Alex Johnston finished with a brace, obviously the leading try scorer of last year with 20. Latrell looked good. I think the only downside for them was Big Tommy Burgess got stretched off with a stinger. Has anyone heard any news from him in the last few days?
I think I saw something that he was all right.
He got cleared from anything serious. Yeah.
He wasn't the only one taken to hospital as well. A lot of guys, unfortunately, in that whole neck stinger area ended up. I guess they're also being very precautionary around that these days too.
Well, you want to be, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. So instead of playing on or trying to fight through the stinger, they've gone, come off and we'll get you checked out.
Yeah, so Storm wrapped that one up 26-18. What's this? You've got a little note here regarding Brandon Smith, the cheese. Does he want out?
Yeah, well, I'm not. Where is he signed?
Warriors.
Next year?
Yeah.
So the report came out that he's off his management, so his agency or let's call him his pimp. Essentially, he's come out and
Let's cut the shit.
Yeah, has offered the Storm to pay the $200K to get him an early release.
Right.
So the which I assuming is a significant portion of his contract that he's on now to say, hey, let's finish it off and send him off and he can go join the Warriors early.
And you'd think maybe in a month's time when Harry
Grant.
Healthy,
yeah.
Well, yeah, they don't fit in the same team, really.
Yeah, what do you do? Do you play him as a lock or off the bench?
Exactly.
I think the Storm, if you're in the Storm's camp, you're fine with it. We're happy to have you for another year. God, if you have to play reserves, you play reserves. Or if you come off and play 20 minutes off the bench. But the Chiefs must see the writing on the wall.
Yeah. The Warriors have got Wade Egan at the moment.
Shocking name, though.
Would not tell you too much.
That's a stink of a name.
Played 18 games last year, but not. Maybe there is.
And he's a Kiwi boy. Like it could be a range of things that he wants to get back there, but
that too. But of course, coming out, and so that report came out, and everyone picked it up, and then within an hour, he'd come out and saying denying that the request had been made. But I guess where there's smoke, there's probably fire.
Yeah.
So
you've been right on a few of these little early rustlings in the NFL, especially. So see if that continues through to the rugby league. Should we have
time will tell.
Have a look at the Friday night's games. So the early window was Newcastle coming in victorious 32-16 against the Canterbury Bulldogs, absolutely pissing down up at McDonald Jones Stadium there. No Kalen Ponga. He's
Still recovering. Yep.
Yeah, coming back from that. He had shoulder surgery in the off-season for a
it was
torn labrum.
Late shoulder surgery as well.
But they're only expecting the first few rounds, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think for Kalen.
I think so, yeah.
They had that Tex Hoy in at fullback, who's not a bad little fullback. It'd be interesting to see what they do when Kalen is available, if he manages to keep a spot in the back five. Dallin Watini-Zalesniak opened up the scoring. Really nice cutout ball there from Kyle Flanagan. He looks like a good fit for the Bulldogs. And did you see this try?
I can imagine in the rain. I have definitely scored a try like this. I'd say I probably started 20 out and then slid away.
Slid the whole way in. So Dallin goes in the just inside the right corner post, and I reckon he grounds the ball 500 mil past the try line, and he finishes up like hitting those back sponsorship things at the back. Like he slid 12 metres easily. And then a Kurt Mann injury. It looks like an MCL. He might be done depending on the severity, 4 to 6 weeks. Poor fella getting a start as the sixth for Newcastle. They had Connor Watson come on, and he looked really good, actually. He set up a try, had a really nice try saver at the end of this game. And
how's your boy going?
Oh, it brings a tear to my eye, mate. Tyson Frizzell, he looked really good as a Newcastle Knight. Obviously, diehard Dragons fan here. Losing him is massive for the big Red V. He had 180 metres, 34 tackles, 3 tackle busts, 3 offloads, if you don't mind, and fitted in really nicely into their forward pack. I think Newcastle...
They got a good pack.
Yeah, I think they'll be improved. They were seventh last year, one and done against South, I think, in the first round of finals, but they'll be there or thereabouts. And Big Daniel Safidi, we did mention on the Esky a couple of weeks ago, he got the co-captain gig. It was his 100th game. Scores 2 as a big prop. Yeah. Don't mind that. Busting over. 174 run meters, 6 tackle busts, 3 offloads. Great game from the big fella. You'd imagine he plays Origin football again this year.
Yeah. Do you think they're the most likely team to sort of jump into that top? We talked about the top 5.
Top 4, top 5.
If there was to be a team to sort of jump through, do you think it's them?
I'd say it's them. Before this round started, I think there's a lot of talk about the Gold Coast Titans. You know, they finished 9th last year. We'll get to them in a sec. They recruited really well. From what I saw on the weekend, who knows there. I think Newcastle probably for mine is
they're my dark horse, I'd say. They fit that dark horse kind of model.
Do I see him winning the comp? Oh, maybe not. Do I see him going a little bit deeper than one and done? Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Yeah, right.
Yep.
Who plays 6 for them?
Kurt Mann.
It was Mann? Yeah,
so what they do now in his absence, because I think they pick Connor Watson as a utility, and he can sort of slot in and play in the halves. He can play as a back rower. Whether they name him as their 6 or they go with someone else and keep him as a utility will be interesting.
My only concern with the Knights would probably be their halves. Like, Pearce has been there.
Pearce is good, man.
He's good, but... There's a reason the Roosters let him go.
Yeah.
There's a lot worse 7s out there, though.
Yeah, definitely.
There is that too.
Definitely, yeah. You give me Pearce over probably 10, 11, 12 starting halfbacks. You know, I don't think that's too bad.
I think we're talking past there's probably like 5 good halfbacks in the league you'd pick and want to keep.
Yeah, well, he's a tier below your DCEs, or even a Sean Johnson, but yeah, he's still good. Like,
no, absolutely.
Yeah. Obviously, a few dramas in the off-season, losing his captaincy, whether or not that plays into his play. But he looked good Friday night from what I could tell. The other game, Broncos and Eels, did you catch this one?
Yeah. So I watched most of the second half.
Yep.
Oh, you picked the wrong half.
Exactly. I guess we should probably talk about Deedon and Croft being switched out again.
So what happened? Because on Tuesday when I saw the teams, and Deedon was named as 7.
Because a week before the previous podcast,
a
report came out that Deedon was out and Croft was in.
Yeah.
And then they reversed that and then Deedon was back in.
Yeah.
And then they flipped it again and Croft back in. So I don't know. Walters is trying to work out who's playing 7 at the moment, but I don't think it matters too much. The rest of the team's pretty garbage.
They started so well.
Yeah, but Eels started really badly.
Okay.
They were like Souths. They turned it over.
It up.
Yeah, they turned the ball over, gave Broncos a lot of possession and in good spots, and they turned that into 16 points. Of course, Mead getting the opening try. He's Was he ever? I think he played
From
for
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast, but then
Yeah.
he was in Super League, and then I think he's come back.
Okay, yep.
Xavier Coates, sorry,
Yep.
he got 2 tries as well.
Good setups from Milford.
Yeah.
The first one being a nice little chip through and then a big cutout ball. Unfortunately, it was that second try that
Landed on his head, neck, and it didn't look real great.
one of those freakish finishes that we see from wingers these days. You know, getting horizontal and then planting the ball, and he landed sort of on his head and neck whilst sort of colliding with Gutho, and it was a bit.
Yeah, it definitely it looks like if you imagine your legs like he'd done the splits, like he'd stretched his head and shoulder apart, and you can see he's like you can see it stretching. Like it doesn't look great.
Look nasty.
It's crazy.
I think he
it doesn't
failed.
happen more often. Like you see that twice a game, easy.
Yep.
But you just think, with all your momentum going over, you'd think, the next
I wonder-
vulnerable.
Mike Acevo comes to mind. He seems like he's.
I wonder if
so we've got it just there, and watching the replay. When he's making contact there, his head is at like a right angle to his shoulders there. Looked nasty. Thank God he went to hospital, was cleared of any serious injury.
I wonder if he was probably in the motion of maybe tucking and trying to roll, like you're trying to roll through. And then he gets hit by Gutho, and then it breaks up his momentum in his roll.
And nothing in that from Gutho. That's fine. He's trying to defend his line. That's just footy. But good to see Xavier Coates.
So I think he
very, very exciting young player.
He failed his HIA, so I think he had a concussion, but they were worried about the rest of his neck injury because, of course, he lands on his face, so that probably didn't help out as well. So they sent him off to the hospital, but cleared all right and should play this week as well. But him good. And is it Asiata?
Yeah, John Asiata.
As well, he had a stinger / collarbone injury, went to hospital too.
Matt Lodge tore his hamstring 18 minutes in.
Yeah, so Lodge is gone, so he's going to be out
6 weeks.
Yeah, probably around that 2 months.
Shame injury last year as well.
Yeah, the other two should be okay. They may rest them, but they're available for being picked in round 2.
So possibly not so much.
Well, they lose 3 in the first half.
Yeah, 3 in the first half, and you've only got 6 interchanges now. It's
so
pretty
they faded.
hard. Yeah,
the Eels came out and played better in the second half. They didn't turn the ball over, less errors. Broncos, of course, faded a lot. Maybe the injury toll took a part in it. But, it looked like 2020 Broncos out there for that second half.
Yep. Tries to Reid Money, Clinton Gutherson, Blake Ferguson. You remember last year he didn't score a try until, I think, the 17th game or something like that. He had a really nice try around about the 60th minute mark. He busted over 3 from short range. And Big Junior Paulo, he sealed the game with a short range effort, I should say, in the 79th minute. A valiant Broncos effort considering the injury toll that they had to go through. And Parramatta, we're talking about Newcastle, who is that, team that's in that next tier? Well, obviously finished 4th last year, so...
I'd be, it is round 1, but we're a little bit worried. It's like, well, you started very poorly against the Wooden Spooners. Yeah. So until I see it, I think the Eels are pretenders.
Okay. I don't mind that either. The way they played in the playoffs, in the final series last year. We'll quickly go through.
And I just want to say that, well, we won't go into it now, but that Broncos-Titans game for round 2. I don't want to say, round 2, that's do or die a game already, but that seems like it's aiming up to be a pretty important match early in the season for both clubs.
Bit of bad blood with the David Fafita leaving, and we're talking about who's going to be the best team in Queensland this year. We all had the Titans as that. Yeah. Who knows after round 1?
After round 1, the Broncos scored the most points out of the Queensland teams.
And if you want to go down to points difference, if you're at a -8, -8, they are the best Queensland team as of round 1.
Yeah. That's pretty sad. Anyway, Warriors Titans.
Speaking of the Titans, much hyped. They
bought really well.
Yeah, they
on paper.
And last year they won their last 5 games. They finished 9th. They just missed out on the 8 by 2 points and about 100 points difference. Big sightings, of course, of Fafita and Tino Fa'asu Malawi.
Some of your best there.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
It's a big Queenslanders.
I'll get there. Big Tino. Yeah. Sorry, brother. I'll get there. And they just look like they lacked some attacking flair.
Their problems are halves.
Yeah.
Taylor needs to fire, and I think he needs a running mate.
You always talk about Ben Hunt being overpaid. Ash Taylor. He gets a lot.
He's getting up there, yeah.
It's a lot of money and doesn't seem to do a whole lot. I think Fogarty will be one to watch this year. I think he'll be better.
Who's the fullback for Gold Coast?
AJ Brimson.
Yeah.
So he had
He
that exhilarating 2 games in State of Origin last year for Queensland.
I like him. But at this point in the season, I think they lack chemistry. Probably one, they've got a whole bunch of new guys to go work it out. And they really don't have that veteran guy to lead them around.
Guide them around the park.
Which, Cameron's probably perfect for that role if he hadn't retired. And, it makes sense for him to be put in that team. But maybe the Titans were banking on that and the guys maybe thought that was going to happen and it didn't happen. So they're maybe in a bit of a lull.
They were using that as a bit of to draw the big boys in.
Yeah.
We're going to have Cam Smith here.
Yeah.
Who knows? Or they've heard about it all off season and they're like, shit, we're going to play Cam Smith this year. He's going to help us run around the park. And then they've been left with Ash Taylor and they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Ash Taylor and Cam Smith, a very different conversation.
Well,
One's a
Mitch
good
Rain,
football
I
player.
suppose, is the one to compare as he's the 9. See, looking at that team, they look better. I also wonder about their backs, like outside of Brimson.
Strike power, yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Don's pretty good. Corey Thompson, the former Tiger. Brian Kelly, formerly at Manly. Patrick Herbert, he hasn't played much at all. I don't know if they've got enough attacking firepower. Obviously bought very well in their back row. Maybe they need to look at some wingers and centres perhaps, or developing those guys. Anyways, moving on. The Roosters absolutely belted Manly, 46-4 at the SCG. Good to see a few people in there. Manly coming off their pre-season game where they got touched up by the Tigers we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. So
Dylan Walker came out today and just pulled no punches. He was like,
really?
He basically said, we're garbage. Like, we need to play better. That's not NRL standard football.
In round 1, 2, exactly. You've had a couple of months to prepare, and that's what you serve up in the first game. You are coming against, one of the 2 or 3 best teams of the modern era. But still, if you 40-point drubbing in round 1 doesn't give supporters much hope. I thought.
No. 2 hat tricks in this game. So Tedesco, we mentioned him before. How good is he? He scored with his first touch. And I think he had a brace before.
His positional play is just
before the half. Got his 3rd in the second half. Brett Morris, he goes to 4th all time. That's interesting for try scorers. I knew he had a lot, but 4th all time is pretty impressive.
I think one's 192 from memory.
No, I was having a look. I think it's about 210.
210.
Yeah, and it's
someone's on 190.
It's Ken Irvine.
That's right.
Yeah, Billy Slater had about 190.
That's probably what I think of.
He's in 2 there. But Brett Morris goes to 4. He jumps Andrew Eddinghausen, obviously former winger.
Just goes to show
how for Cronulla Sharks. But that Ken Irvine record's old as. I'm just trying to
just goes to show how hard it is. Like blokes they get. Was it Alex? They got 20 last year.
Johnson, to keep that longevity up.
Yeah, like you got to do that for 10 years.
Yeah,
get to, like it's hard.
So Ken Irvine, his career was 58 to 73. So this record is approaching 40 years old, and Billy was still.
So Billy played 15.
Billy was 22 tries short of Ken Irvine. This could be one of those
in
ones that takes a
15 years.
long time to break.
Steve Menzies.
Yeah, Beaver. How about a second rower's 3rd of all time?
Played 15 years as well.
Yep. So he's there on 180.
Brett Morris also playing 15 years. So
but then look at this log jam. So we've got Terry Lamb here, 164. Brett Stewart, 163. Matt Singh, 159. Hasem, 159. Nathan Merritt, 154. Michael Jennings still playing, 154. Harold Horder, if you don't mind, 1924, he retired, 152.
One of the better players I've seen live.
Manu Vatavai, 152. And Josh Morris, brother of Brett, he jumps Greg Inglis to go to 14th with 150. So considering that log jam, you've got, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the 150s. You'd think that Josh jumps all of those guys, and Brett and Josh will finish in the top 10 ever.
Pretty cool.
Pretty amazing as twin brothers.
Yeah, exactly. The 300 plus tries between the two of them now.
Between it, well over that. It's 318. So,
But it goes to show that
probably the best twins ever to play. Twins, Basil. Twins.
Yeah.
But
That's free money.
But it's interesting to see that like that 150 is kind of a number for guys that play 15 years. 150, average 10 tries a year. It's consistency, and then you get the rare one that he drops like 20. So maybe Alex Johnson is a guy that if he can keep it consistent, could be at the top of that list. But it seems really like Nathan Merritt, I think.
Well, Alex Johnson's still a long way down that list.
I know he's only starting his career, but if he can play 15 years and keep that number up.
So he's already got 108 from 7 seasons. So he's on pace.
He's on pace.
He's on pace.
How many top 10 or 20 kickers as well?
Hazem Mamazri was.
Hazem was, yeah.
Hazem.
Singh didn't.
Pretty much none of them.
Nah.
Nearly.
Yeah.
So in terms of point scoring, yeah. I think Cameron Smith has that record.
Yes,
by
for his
a long
longevity
way.
in goal kicking.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was just talking try, sorry.
Yeah, at this point. That's enough probably talking about that.
So
Morris Brothers good. Roosters smash Manly. Manly bad.
The take-home message is the Roosters are going to be really fucking good again. Just a bit of a yawn for everyone else, but yeah, it's up to the other teams, I suppose, to push them and the Storm.
Well, Penrith versus Raiders, it's been 30 years since that, so let's back that for grand final.
Is that what you're backing? I'd love to see that as a neutral, as not a supporter of either of those teams. Yep. Talking about Penrith, they made light work of the Cowboys, 24-zip. Taumalolo, he's only played 51 minutes. They're doing some kind of load management with him.
Yeah, often
would play 80 minutes. What's the go with this?
Don't know. So Todd Payton, of course, the new head coach up there. I think the idea being, hey, let's manage his minutes a little bit, try to get more impact plays from him.
Yeah.
But in this game
his
against
numbers
Penrith,
suffered.
It was big time. And considering this bloke's got multiple games of over 300 yards, 300 metres.
And averages 200.
Yeah. So
he had 71 running metres in this. And
I don't know whether they want to save that interchange at all, but he plays 80, so you're not taking him off.
Very strange.
Yeah. Hard to say.
And pretty much the most dominant back rower lock in the league over the last 7 or 8 years. Very strange. If he's fit enough to play 80, I don't know why you'd.
Well, if we stay on Todd Payton, I think there was some chat during the week after this game about his players and him going back and forth. I think there might be a bit of discontent already up there, and which in Townsville, which is worrying. And that's kind of why I put that note there about is Todd Payton actually going to last out the year? Considering
he's only young, isn't he?
Yeah, he's young.
He turned 40s, wouldn't he?
He was sought after. He turned down the Warriors.
42 he is.
Yeah, turned down the Warriors deal and then got, was kind of said, hey, I'm happy being an assistant head coach at this point. Cowboys deal came along and he's like, yep, I'll take that. That's back in Australia. I'd love that. But I don't know. Cowboys are kind of in that rebuild at the moment.
I'm just looking at it now. So Payton came out after full time saying he wasn't too keen on Tamalolo and how lazy he was when he attempted to chase down Cleary from marker.
Yeah, use that word.
Calling out the $1 million man.
Calling out their best player. Yeah, that sounds a bit dangerous up there in Townsville.
Yes. Considering he doesn't have the clout of like Craig Bellamy or Wayne Bennett.
Right. They call you lazy, then you.
Yeah, it's like, fuck, I got to look myself. And then Todd Payton is just like, bro, you were an average front rower. Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, not to take away from Payton's career, he played nearly 260 first grade games, but in terms of a coach, he's only had that half a season last year as a caretaker over there at New Zealand, and probably doesn't have the.
And the club's clearly invested in one of those two parties, and it's not the bloke calling the bloke lazy. It's playing with fire, I would have thought.
Hopefully it's just him setting a little bit of a fire up everyone's butt, and then behind closed doors they settle it all out. And
maybe. And I've got the confidence to call our best player lazy. Yeah, maybe.
But show us your record. It's now.
Yep.
I don't think it's positive at this point for him as a head coach.
Probably pull that up. Obviously did inherit the Warriors last year after the sacking of Stephen Kearney, I believe.
40% win percentage at the moment.
6-8 he was at the Warriors and now 0-1. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. On the other hand, Penrith are very good. Kurt Capewell looks like a good signing. And their wingers, Brian To'o, Dylan Edwards, they were good. Isaiah Yo busted over for a try. Yeah, I think they're to be in that big five conversation again this year. What about in the nation's capital on Sunday afternoon?
Big crowd, 16,000, the most for round one for the Raiders in a very, very long time.
Yeah, right.
So
actually,
got behind him.
To be honest, it looked a little bit more than that watching it. Yeah,
after watching for 12 months of no one knows.
That's right.
Or Brumbies games, you think,
you watch a Brumbies game, and then it looks like you bloody sold out MCG in there. The Raiders,
and that is the most rugby union we will talk on this podcast.
For now,
I saw
the World Cup. I'll have a look at the World Cup.
I saw the Brumbies Reds game on the weekend. It was actually a really good game. I saw an ad for it at 7:30, like on Jam Washer. I was like, I might actually watch that. And then I think the next day I was like, forgot about that game.
The Brumbies game slipped my mind.
I think it was 40-38 in the end, and supposed to be a cracker, but there you go.
Well,
moving on.
We've made it very clear here on the Esky. We're not going to try with sports that we don't really follow. We're all league heads and AFL nuffies. We're going to leave rugby union alone. Wishing them all the best. Hopefully they can sort out that shit stuff.
Maybe we'll talk about it more when they get towards finals and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, World Cup. I'll have a look at the World Cup.
World Cup.
So anyways, Bruce Stadium, Sunday afternoon, 16,000 in there. The Raiders actually got off to a really sluggish start. There was a little bit of drop ball both sides. Tigers hooker Jacob Little opened the scoring, got him in fantasy. Thank you very much. He should be okay this year. Rapinoe ties it up 6-all at the half, and then it was all green machine in the second half. So it was not nice story with Ryan James, obviously coming across from the Gold Coast Titans. Big prop coming off the bench. He's coming off 2 knee reconstructions. He
missed like 400 days.
Yeah,
so
nuts to do 2 rehabs and come back. And he had to meet Pye in his debut as a Raider. You see that Georgie Williams one? What was the call on that?
Wasn't an intercept. It was
he ran 70 meters, but it was off some sort of broken play, and it came back and looked all a bit.
It was knocked. It was knocked down off something.
Okay.
That's right. Ryan Sutton. So he was throwing it to the 6. I can't remember the Tiger 6, and then Sutton's tackled him like as the ball's getting there. So it goes past the 5'8", bounces once, and then Whelan picks it up and runs the rest of the field to score.
You're right, right.
So they called it back on Sutton tackling the man without the ball before it got there. Pretty line ball call. Some angles made it look worse than others, but it didn't matter in the end. So
Moses Mbai.
That's the one.
Tigers 6.
Actually, maybe it wasn't Moses Mbai. Maybe it was the one. Anyway, it was Ryan Sutton.
Did you see that Hudson Young try?
Bailey
Simonson. Oh,
big time, got up, catches above his head. As he's falling down, just flicks it to Hudson Young. They started to fire, which was good.
Yeah, and
I was really worried the amount. I think they had 40 tackles inside the Tigers 20.
Yep, and couldn't score too much.
Too much. Yeah, I was a little bit worried about attack. They did try to muscle their way over a fair bit, using their size, and I worry a little bit about Raiders' backline about where they're going to get points from, considering Joe Croker wasn't in the side. They had a rookie there.
Yeah.
So
lost Kotrick, obviously.
Yeah.
I think Simonson's looking like a really nice player. Chansey looks better every game.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned about their back line. I think they'll be okay. Speaking about Chansey, Nickel Klokstad.
Klokstad now, I think.
Klukstad.
Yeah, Klukstad.
And Papa Lely.
He had a really nice long distance effort, pretty much sealing the game for the Canberra Raiders. And also shout out to Goku. In our punters club, he had Raiders race to 10 points, so he got that, and then just needed Chansey any time and got it with about 10 minutes to go.
That was good fun to watch.
Absolute scenes at the Hellenic Club. FaceTime him. He, for some reason, was in his Raiders budgies and nothing else when he answered that call. So very entertaining scenes yesterday when Chansey busted through. Raiders get the win, 30-12. The final game,
as expected.
As expected, and actually it wasn't as bad as I thought. Cronulla come out victors at Jubilee Oval, 32-18 over my St George Illawarra Dragons. Another one of these ones where it's absolutely belting down rain to start off the game. And the first 2 tries came off really wet weather, sloppy defending. The first one was Hunt and Dufty. Like, Dufty was sliding for the ball and Hunt went to kick it out, and Hunt had an air swing, and then Dufty got fucked up by him, and it was an easy try for Dugan. And then the next one was off a sloppy defending as well. I think it was Tarek Sims that spilt a little grubber through there in wet conditions. And then some of the biggest news from this first half was this Jesse Ramian shot. I don't know if you saw it on
Duffy returning the ball, and it looks bad. In 4 weeks, they may even throw the book at him and
be interesting.
Try to
be swinging arm, copped him on the chin. So he's facing 4 weeks. I don't know what the early guilty plea will get, if it's a 3-week possibility, but that'll go to judiciary tomorrow, and we'll have some news for you next time. Didn't look too good, no, I've got to say, and it's a shame. Jesse Ramian, pretty standout player last year for
caused a bit of a push and shove, like everyone.
Little bit of niggle, and
I think one of the Dragons wingers ran from 70 metres away to go get involved. So.
That's the old Pep special, that one. Run in 70 metres, throw a little jumper punch, and
get out of there just as quick as you got in.
You what, mate? Oh yeah, it's out. As a Dragons fan, they clawed back a little bit. There was it was actually Adam Clune's first ever try. Would you believe? He played about 18 games last year. Finally got to meet Pye, and Dufty had a nice long range effort, but then there was 2 tries in 4 minutes for the Sharks. I think it was Mulatalo and Will Kennedy, and that put it beyond doubt.
Did Aaron Woods score one late too?
Yeah, late one for Aaron Woods, and Michaeli Ravalawa. He had a consolation one at the end. Sharks coming out 14-point victors.
Final question: where'd Ben Hunt play?
7.
He did play 7.
Yeah, he played 7 the whole game. He wasn't terrible, other than those first. It was him and Dufty that fucked up that grubber that led to the Dugan try. Outside of that, wasn't terrible, I didn't think. Is he a $1.2 million player? Still to be decided, but I don't think he had the worst game.
Where's that contract put him? Is that?
I think he's 3rd amongst halfbacks.
Wow.
I think it's DCE, and I think
dirty.
I think it's Ash Taylor. There might be 2. If you don't mind,
dirty, man.
What a list that is.
Having a look there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's on more than Mitch Pearce.
Yes, he would be.
Pretty sure he's on more than Sean Johnson.
Yeah, and Adam Reynolds still hasn't done his deal.
Adam Reynolds, they won't even give him 900.
Yeah, so he's got to be up there. Maybe that's the what they're worried about. Souths was like, if we give him a deal, all these halfbacks that get big deals seem to play bad. Besides DCE. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
What about Cleary's on? Because he re-signed his deal. He got extended, so I'm not sure if. He's in the big money portion.
Well, it is hard as well with the NRL because they don't really release the all the contracts.
Yeah, it depends on the agents.
That's right. You kind of got to dig it up. It's not like the American sports where it's all just public knowledge.
Yeah.
New rules. What do we think about them? We sort of alluded to it before. They're just chasing, more and more fatigue rugby league, making the game quicker.
It's looked good so far.
Yeah.
Wait 20 weeks and then see how the players are holding up.
That's exactly my concern is the players' welfare, I think, more than anything. But
because their squads are limited to 30 blokes, and I think didn't the Dragons used like 40 or 50 guys last year?
It wouldn't have been that many, but they definitely would have used.
There was one club that actually got devastated by injuries and they had to use a lot more than they were allocated, but
Again, that's going to be the balance, and also there is quite a difference between the top teams and the bottom teams. I think you'll see these top teams really take it on. We saw the Storm Rabbitohs game was a really good clinic.
Contest, it's content. Yeah, and
then you look at the Eagles and the Roosters. One team's clearly adapted to the rules, and the other one's a step behind. So I think when you get better teams playing each other, it's going to be a really good spectacle. I think it's going to be a year with a lot of blowouts again, last year. And again, like you said, if injuries start coming in, look, Manly are already down their best player. What if they lose a couple more? Then that's that's how far away they are. Which isn't good for the fans.
And Origin, of course, is back in the middle of the year, so you got to contest with that.
But it should make if Origin should be awesome if that's what we're saying. If the best team, I mean, that's the best 20 players or 30 players in the comp. So we'll see. We'll see going on. So far, big pass for the league, I think. So.
I think successful. First round, some really entertaining games, a couple blowouts, but
I think those 5 though kind of setting themselves apart. And
Yeah,
I don't want to say it's a done deal and it's going to happen. But
I'd be very surprised if any team outside of that top five.
I think that's the top five makeup, unfortunately.
Of the Storm, Roosters, Panthers, South, and we're going to throw the Raiders in there as well. If anyone wins outside of that top five, I'd be very surprised. Would love to see it happen, though.
Yes.
Just an update on my AFL fantasy draft.
So back if you've noticed, he's been on his phone a wee bit. He's actually live drafting for his AFL. Is it Supercoach or is it fantasy?
It is Supercoach. I do apologise. I've just wrapped up, so I will. I've been throwing some banter around in the group chat as well.
Right.
So I've had, obviously, any of you who've had a draft before, that's where you're.
Any good pickups?
Well, of the 15 roster spots, I've got 14 Western Bulldogs. So, and I gave Josh Walker a bone for a bit of a gimmick pick, and I'm already trying to offload him. The only Dogs player I didn't get was Bontempelli. So, Scooter Kelly, shout out to you. He was a pick before, really snaked him, the dog. So, very good looking midfield. The rest, we'll see how we go. We might have to make some early season trades, but so far,
It's Mitch Wallace.
I got Dunkley and Norton, so it's a bit of a makeshift one. So Dunkley, Norton, and then 3 mids: Lockie Hunter, Jack McRae, Tommy Liberatore, English in the ruck, Bailey Williams, and Taylor Giray on my backman. Trelaw, Bailey Smith, and Lipinski on the bench.
Dogs will be good this year.
Dogs will be good this year.
I think, yeah. That's coming from someone not named Macca.
I think the Dogs will be very good this year, Pepsi, to jump on top of that. So if they have a bad game, I think I'm in trouble. But
you've definitely put all your eggs in that basket. Be interesting to see how that plays off. I know I've definitely done that with the Green Bay Packers in the NFL, and I've tried to avoid it with St. George of late.
That's
good
probably
decision.
a good thing.
In any league fantasy.
One note I wanted to make on the refs in the NRL. It's probably about beer time. We get a bit dry over here. That the one ref system still in place. So during COVID they wanted to reduce the amount of officials, the amount of guys travelling, etc., etc. Hey, we'll go back to the 2 ref system. But no one's mentioned it, and no one's kind of really noticed that we're still on the 1 ref, and away we go.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because there's the bigger picture of the faster ball player that you don't actually. Now it's not about the refs. I think
it's not about the wrestle, so I don't need to wrestle.
Yeah. I think maybe the refs will get a pass for the first sort of month or so, and then it'll come back and say, well, hang on, why aren't the refs adapting better? So the refs will always get blamed. As long as there's sport, the officials will always cop stick. So we'll see how that goes again. Again, we've had 8 games of footy, so we can't really.
Small sample size.
But again, it's good to have footy back and people at the footy.
Yeah.
More importantly,
there was no controversy over the weekend.
Nothing big
bad
for
calls.
Actually, question for you: what did you think about they're doing the tries? Sorry, someone scores, the ref gives it a try.
Yep.
They review it while they're setting up.
So then off camera they review it, and then the bunker kind of sends a message down and says, "Hey, we're going to have a look at it." Then the ref goes, "Hey, we're reviewing this," and then they do a formal review.
Seem quick.
It seemed quick, but there's some of them, especially I was watching the Raiders game, they about a minute 30, like dead time where you kind of lose it, and then there's like, oh, actually, no, we got to bring that back. I'm doing this again, stealing another NFL rule where they just make them all reviewable, and it's
everything,
like,
But then
ref gives it. And
it is very American, isn't it, to do it? It is exactly what they do. And we're all NFL fans. We're used to it. Yeah. It's one of those things. Watching on the telly, it'd be fine because they've got replays and they can talk. If you're sitting in the stands and everyone's standing around for a minute 30 is a long time.
And you've only got 80 boys have celebrated. They're done their, whatever celebration they want to do. They got around each other. They're walking back, get set up for the kick, and then it's like, oh yeah, sorry, we're going to look at that, and oh, that was a knock on. Sorry, we're going to take, or it's. I
don't like and it was kind of hard because it was a full. I think it was in the Raiders game where he got done tackling without the ball, and then they picked it up and scooted it away.
Scored 70
That goes back 70 metres behind. I understand it was the one play, but that felt like it was drawn out a bit.
Yeah, like how many plays back do they review and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Well, maybe not even that, but just that, they've gone the whole field. They've given it a try. Georgie Williams is celebrating. The crowd's going nuts. Everyone's really enjoying it. And then they've gone, let's have another look at that.
Yeah, to go
and then gone back and have check it.
Yeah, literally flipped to the other end of the field. So it's...
Like, I don't mind if the ref goes, hey, I've got to give it a try. Can we just go back and check that thing?
Yeah.
Instead of just blowing it and everyone's...
And dissect every little bit of the play then. Exactly. Because you're going to find something.
The flow just seems odd, whether it's like elation and then taken away versus
it's like the VAR.
You're waiting,
Like the VAR in soccer where they've been going back like a minute and you're going, oh well, you're bound to sort of pick something up,
Yeah.
I guess, if you're
Yeah.
going back a
Yeah.
minute or 90 seconds of play.
Whereas NFL, it's did it cross the line? Did it not cross the
Yeah.
line? Did he step out? Did he not step out? Good. That's it. It's not actually changing the rules like a foul or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's purely ball placement in the NFL. So that's
but
where they've got it right.
should
But
I
they're not
think-
going to go back and say, "Oh, there was holding on that play."
Yeah, but
So
I think
throw
that
the
the
flag.
main thing I think from that is everything's reviewable. So they're not worrying about we're going to give it and then check and then maybe it'll come down the line. We're going to check it. Everyone just knows you scored. Okay, we're going to review it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it always happens. So
Yeah.
Well, going back to what Mac is saying, like, should it be a point of like we'll only review the part of the play where they cross the line? Like, so did they ground it? Was there anything happening leading up to that specific time? Were they in? Were they out? Whatever, and just leave it at that. Don't worry about what happened 20 meters down the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is harder in league because you've got to obstruct because it's moving. whereas
Instructions and
Yeah.
offside.
NFL's
You do have
dead
to look at
ball. It goes
instructions
from
and
dead
stuff, so-
ball to moving
Yeah.
to dead ball.
So maybe look at like that 10 meter, that 15
Yeah.
meter.
yeah, but it's
Well,
it's,
then-
it's
but
still a
then-
play.
Yeah, the issue is if you're taking it from an American sport, you're taking it from a different sport. These rules aren't universal because the sports aren't universal. So
Yeah.
it's quite a.
No, it
And
can-
not to bite your head off there, monks, or anything, but it's such a hard thing to have as yes,
compare,
this is what everyone should
Yeah,
do
yeah.
for reviews. So
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is like, do you review just one part of the play, or do you like open the book and review everything?
Yeah.
Well, I'd say
where do you call it? Like,
I play the ball.
yeah, because you'll find a penalty. You'll find a penalty if you look harder up. So
Yeah, I'd say a play the ball is kind of the equivalent to the start of a play. So from that play the ball until you score, that's a play. So I'd say everything in between
with
that.
that Georgie Worms, that was
Well,
in
yeah,
one play.
a
So
broken
look
play,
at
so, yeah.
80 metres. Anyways,
again, one
I just
round.
think-
we can talk about this all night.
I think the
and get
sequencing
nowhere,
is what
so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to have the
Yeah.
debate about it, but it's
Yeah.
we'll see. Again, 8 games of footy. Let's see.
Yeah.
In a month in, and then we
Yeah.
might get a bit of grasp.
Small
of what it
sample
is.
size. Take home note. Rugby league's back. How good?
Yeah. Rugby league.
Excellent.
Rugby league.